what I have done is I have figured out what a mom would say in a 24-hour period, and I have condensed it to 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So strap on your seatbelt. Here we go. Get up now, get up now, get up out of bed. Wash your face, brush your teeth, comb your sleepy head. Here's your clothes and your shoes. Hear the words I said. Get up now, get up and make your bed. Are you hot? Are you cold? Are you wearing that? Where's your books and your lunch and your homework at? Grab your coat and your gloves and your scarf and hat. Don't forget, you gotta feed the cat. Eat your breakfast. The experts tell us it's the most important meal of all. Take your vitamins so you will grow up one day to be big and tall. Because remember, the orthodontist will be seeing you at 3 2. Don't forget your piano lesson is this afternoon, so you must play. Don't shovel. Choose slowly, but hurry. The bus is here. Be careful. Come back here. Did you wash behind your ears? Play outside. Don't play rough. Would you just play fair? Be polite. Make a friend. Don't forget to share. Work it out. Wait your turn. Never take a dare. Get along. Don't make me come down there. Clean your room. Fold your clothes. Put your stuff away. Make your bed. Do it now. Do we have all day? Were you born in a barn? Would you like some hay? Can you even hear a word I say? Answer the phone. Get off the phone. Don't sit so close. Turn it down. No texting at the table. No more computer time tonight. Your iPod's my iPod if you don't listen up. Where you going and with whom and what time do you think you're coming home? Saying thank you, please, excuse me, makes you welcome everywhere you roam. You'll appreciate my wisdom someday when you're older and you're grown. Can't wait till you have a couple little children of your own. You'll thank me for the counsel I gave you so willingly, but right now I thank you not to roll your eyes at me. Close your mouth when you chew. We'd appreciate. Take a bite, maybe two of the stuff you hate. Use your fork, do not burp, or I'll set you straight. Eat the food I put up on your plate. Get an egg, get a door, don't be smart with me. Get a grip, get in here, I'll count 2, 3. Get a job, get a life, get a PhD, get a close up. I don't care who started. You're grounded until you're 36. Get your story straight and tell the truth for once, for heaven's sake. And if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you jump too? If I've said it once, I've said at least 1,000 times before that you're too old to act this way. It must be your father's DNA. Look at me when I am talking. Stand up straighter when you walk up. Place for everything, and everything must be in place. Stop crying or I'll give you something real to cry about. Oh! Brush your teeth, wash your face, put your PJs on. Get in bed, get a hug, say a prayer with mom. Don't forget, I love you. And tomorrow we will do this all again because the moms work never ends. You don't need the reason why. Because I said so, I said so, I said so, I said so. I'm the mom, the mom, the mom, the mom, the mom. Ta-da!
Hello, welcome back. One more time. This is good. You guys just keep coming back, come back for more. You're encouraging me. Okay? So if you keep coming back, I'm going to keep talking. Is that all right with you? Cool. Okay, well, tonight I'd like to share some thoughts about teaching your kids responsibility. All right? Now, this is, how many of you want responsible children? How many of you want them to live at your house? Right. Because oftentimes kids are the most responsible for somebody else. And it just shocks me that, my 15-year-old son Taylor has a job where he has to work for 4 hours straight. I was like, Taylor, I'm so impressed. I knew you had it in there, and I knew you'd show somebody else first. Actually, he does great. It's just, our kids tend to be their most responsible somewhere out of our atmosphere, largely because we do like that lady was doing. And we do all the thinking and all the problem solving and all the commanding and all the demanding and all the figuring out. And basically their job is to put their left foot on green, put their right foot on green, their left hand on the red dot, and basically just play Twister while we spin the dial. And that sets them up to expect somebody else to bring responsibility to the relationship instead of for them to have to muster it and practice it. So, tonight what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how do we draw responsibility to the surface in the life of our child, and how do we put it to work? How do we activate it? So, anybody want to play? This means yes. Yeah, good, good. One of the things that we're going to find out about is that it's difficult to trust our children. It is so difficult to trust someone, to learn and grow, to actually help you out when you need help. It's just, how many of you have said, it's just easier to do it myself than to give it to you and then I have to do it again? Right. And so a lot of us are afraid that we're going to have to just redo whatever we give our kids, so we just hold it back, do what we can, and then when we absolutely have to have help, we give them a task, and they fail. And then we want to hurt them. Because I was really depending on you, and you let me down. Okay? So, we want to be sure that we understand how we build trust with our kids. And we really, in general, how do we build trust? Well, we want to make sure that that we do what we say we're going to do. That the people, when people are doing what they say they're going to do, that's how you learn to expect that you can depend on other people. We also want to be sure that that we mean what we say. Now, when we bark out commands, when we issue threats, when we try to intimidate, when we say things we don't mean, or we don't do what we said we were going to do, we begin to train our children that we're not trustworthy. That we don't say what we mean. And so we're kind of scary when we say, I want this done, I want it done now, get going. When really, that's not what we mean at all. What we mean is, I would really like for you to consider listening to what I just said. I don't really expect you to do it until I'm leaping over furniture with eyes ablaze, with a sharp object in my hand. That is when I really mean it. So the time it takes me to go from the request to the actual enforcement, do whatever you want. And when we teach our kids to wait, to linger, to surmise if that's what it is we meant or not, then we're not taking responsibility for what we're contributing to their irresponsibility. I was recently with some friends that, and this is everybody's nightmare, is when I'm around and they have children. And really, I normally don't, evaluate anybody's parenting. I'm not. I'm just there. I'm not. I'm totally not. I am totally not. And everybody is scared of that. I'm like, I don't even care. They're your kids. You have to live with them. But this particular set of friends they were telling me, oh, my kid is just driving me nuts. This stuff doesn't work on my kid. And I love that one. And it's maybe there are some children this doesn't work on. I haven't really found them yet, but I found lots of parents that this stuff doesn't work on. Okay? And my friends and I'm sitting there, and I know what a tough time they are having with this child. And they tell me about it every time I see them. Oh. And so I was there, their house, we're just sitting there. And this child does not believe the parents. Because the parents don't mean what they say. You cannot go in there with that. You have to sit over here. And so what does the child do? The child goes in there with that. And I'm just watching the child like, I see you. And the child is just doing whatever they want. And then the parent says, hey, over here. Over here. I mean it. It's the last time I'm going to tell you. And the child comes back over the line. And then the child goes back over the line. And I'm watching the child. I'm like, I see you. And the child does that 4 times. And I said to myself, deep down in myself, I said it. I understand now. I understand why this isn't working. And it isn't working because this child cannot trust the parent. This child cannot trust the parent to offer leadership to them. The child cannot trust the parent to say what they mean, to mean what they say, and to do what they say they're going to do. So when you have a child who is afraid to trust the parents, you have a child who is toying with the idea that they are the leader in the environment. I'm the boss here because you're scary to let me lead you, to let you lead me. Okay? So this is very important stuff that we as parents, that we learn to turn our words into gold, to mean what we say. These things, I said earlier, if you use lots of words, if you have lots and lots of words, you have lectures and lectures and lectures, you need lots of words because your words are pennies. They're pennies. But when your words are diamonds, rubies, $1,000 bills, you don't need very many of them. Because that child goes, dang. I know what comes next. I know what you're going to do next. Because you do what you say you're going to do. I can trust you. All right, so this is a big deal. This is a big deal. If we're going to lead our children in responsibility, we have to lead. We can't hope that our kids are more responsible than we are. We can't require that our children are more self-controlled than we are. We cannot expect our children to be more respectful than we are. All right? Are we communicating here? All right. Let's talk for a minute just about creating responsible children. Bye-bye. Sad to leave. He's going to miss it. We'll tape it for you. You want to keep things simple. All right? Do you remember the mom at the dinner table? She couldn't get the boy to feed the dog, right? Can't get the boy to feed the dog. And so she asks him a couple questions. Would you like to feed the dog by 3 o'clock or by 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock. You want to leave me a note, or do you want to tell me that you fed the dog? Leave you a note. Because he's not going to do either, right? Four o'clock comes, 4 o'clock goes. There's no firework. There's no yelling and screaming. There's no one leaping over furniture with sharp objects in their hands. This mama steps up to the dinner table with the boy who's sitting there looking for his plate. Can't find a plate anywhere. He says, "Hey, Mom, where's my plate?" She says, "Oh, son, I fix one meal per night for everyone in this family. And tonight, I gave yours to the dog. Now, if you would like me to feed the dog for you tomorrow night, you let me know by 4 o'clock. The next day at 2 o'clock, the child says, "Hey, Mom," fed the dog. Fed the dog. The child is a genius. Here's the bad news. You only get to have so much fun. You only get to have so much fun because your children are going to catch on to this like that. How many times? 3 times? 3 times. Write them down. You'll forget about it. You'll forget to pass it on to the grandchildren. Ah, the chair in the dining room in the dark changed your mother's life forever. Okay? When we teach responsibility, we want to follow a simple process. All right? The first thing is this. We want our child to have something to do that we know that they could do. And then when we give them this thing that we know they can do, we hope that they fail. We hope that they just goof this whole thing up. We pray for the fumble on the 1-yard line. And then we feel really sad for them, and we allow the mistake to provide consequences and lessons, to be the master teacher, and then we trust them. We trust our child. We give them the task to do again. All right? We let them try it again. Can you imagine the spelling teacher giving a spelling test to all the children? Then walking down the aisle, seeing that Billy misspelled a word, takes the paper away from him. "Good grief, child, you can't even spell the word right. No more spelling for you ever again." No. That would be teacher abuse. No, student abuse by the teacher. We would think, psycho teacher. What are you doing? I remember a lady who, she had a heck of a time keeping her house clean. She's an adult woman, like older. And she was having a hard time keeping her house clean. And I was in a counseling situation with her. And I remember her saying, I could never get it right. My mom would give me a chore to do. I'd start doing it. I'd start messing it up. My mom would take the chores away. And she would do them. And that was my life. I could never finish a chore because my mom was always upset that I wasn't getting it right. Now, this was an extreme case because it went on through her whole life and pretty much just shut her down. And she's a pretty banged up lady. But the practice of not trusting our children, not giving them practice of their life, is a very common scenario in a lot of families where I just don't want to hassle with you learning. All right? So, let's go through this one more time, a little slower. I'm going to give you something I know you can do. How is it that I know that you can do this? How is it that I know you will be successful? Well, it's because the picture in your head matches the picture in my head. I've given you a responsibility. I've given you an assignment. I've given you a chore. And I know by the time I've completed giving this to you that we have matching pictures. For example, clean your room. Have you ever said clean your room to your child and they completely misunderstood what you're saying? Or so it seems, because they go in, 8 seconds later they come out. And you're like, hey, you did not clean that room in 8 seconds, buddy. And sure enough, the child goes, oh, I did too. No, you didn't. I did. Okay, let's go look at it. We go in, and sure enough, there's a trail that they've cut through the clothes on the floor that leads to the laundry basket. Because that's what they thought your goal was. You just wanted access to their laundry basket. No, that is not what I meant by clean the room. And so the picture in your head has to match the picture in their head, and the only way to find that out is through a dialogue. Looks something like this. Both of you are in the room. So, what do you think this bed looks like in a clean room? Is it all frumpy and the covers are on the ground, or are the covers on top of the bed? On top? Are they flat, or is just the top one flat? Oh, you want me to make the bed the way you make the bed? Probably so. Oh, this is going to take forever. I know. Is the ground covered with debris? Or is everything picked up and put where it goes? Oh, you want to pick up everything? Is the floor vacuumed? Or are you just picking up the big chunks? Oh, you want me to vacuum? Probably so. Oh, this is going to take forever. Why don't you just call my friends and tell them I'm in prison? I don't know. The closet, the under the bed, the trash. We go through the deal to find out, to make sure that when I said, clean your room, the picture in my head matched the picture in your head. And now I know we have a successful transfer of meaning. All right? You got the email and you downloaded the photos. Now I walk away and begin to intercede. And now I begin to pray. O Lord, mighty God, cause my child to stumble and to fall. See, because if you cannot hope for your child's failure, you're not ready. You're not ready, and you won't be able to handle it when they do fail because you probably don't have a plan. And so what we do is we give a child a task that we need done, and then we require perfection or near perfection. How's that working out for you? Yeah, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating because these people are professional mistake makers. These people do this all day, every day. They go to work to make mistakes. That's what they do. I'm learning about life. I'm figuring things out. I come home, and I do the same thing at home. And I've been doing it since I was pooping myself. Why is this so hard to understand, parent? I'm a professional. And we treat these children like they are going to just all of a sudden get it all right. Anybody getting it all right yet? Okay. So I hope that you fail. And when I fail, it begins to communicate. When I can handle your failure, when I stand in the presence of your shortcoming, when I can handle your sin, you've fallen short of the glory of me. When I can handle your sin, when I can handle your failure, I begin to communicate to you that this is a reality. Failure is a real part of life. There is no relationship where there's no failure. It's not real to have this psychotic break every time my child fails. It's not real to create an anxiety between us that you have to be perfect, or else I'm going to have to punish you. I'm going to have to introduce suffering and pain into your life when you fail. It's just not real that is how love relationships work. And it certainly isn't real to expect from a child. And so my child has to learn that failure does not damage our relation, does not end our relationship, does not attack their love, and it does not control me. As well, I want you to know that it is safe to fail around me. I need you to know that the safest place to be in a mistake is right here. This is the safest place on the planet for you to fail. I want you to move towards me in your failure, not run and hide and deal with it yourself. I want to teach you that it is a really smart move for you to approach me when you have failed. That is not going to happen if every time I find out about one of your failures, I have to punish you and then I have to control you. A funny thing about parents is that we want our children, especially the older they get, we want them to tell us about their life. We like to know what they're entertaining in their life, what's important to them, who they're hanging out with. We want to know. And so when they tell us, when they're 10, 11, 12, maybe they're still talking to us at 13. They go, yeah, we were at Johnny's house last night, and we had like 4 kids there, and one of the kids, he got on the website, and on the website there was a naked lady on the website, and I just barely looked at it, and I knew we weren't supposed to be doing that, so I left the room. What were their names? Who were the other boys, son? Who were the other boys? Who else was at the party? Do you know their phone numbers? Do you know their parents' phone numbers? Do you know their parents' names? Because we're going to put an end to this right here, right now. Thank you for being a spy in the land. And when our children inform us of anything that's going on in their life that scares us, we, like paratroopers, drop into their life and go, ha ha, you're welcome. Keep me posted. And it isn't too long before children figure out, you know, the less you know about my life, the safer my friends are. And the more freedom I have. So how was the party, Johnny? Good. What'd you guys do? Nothing? Well, come on, you're at a party. Couldn't have done nothing. Ate some chips. Did you watch any movies? Did you play some video games? I didn't. So what went on? I don't remember. And the stories get more vague and more vague and more vague because we have convinced our children that we cannot handle sin. Sin scares us. Mistakes scare us. And we kill everything that scares us. And so we want to cultivate with our children a safe place. I can handle your failure. I can handle your mistakes. I can handle your poor choices. I'm actually going to offer you poor choices. I'm going to allow you to make poor choices. You and I are going to practice together real life with the benefit of a safety net. Because it wasn't the devil that put the poor choice in the garden, right? It wasn't the devil that stuck that tree there. God put a poor choice in the garden for them to figure out what they're going to do with themselves and with their freedom. An interesting thought came to mind the other day. Heaven has poor choices in it. Lucifer found one. For most of us, we think that heaven is void of poor choices. It's just the smutty earth that has poor choices on it. And we can't wait to get to heaven, so there won't be any more poor choices. Somebody control me, please. Somebody stop me. No, nobody's going to stop you. Nobody's going to stop you now. Nobody's going to stop you later. And so we'd better train our children in eternity and give them poor choices, not limit them, to handicap them, so to be sure that they're not at all prepared for real life when it shows up on the door. All right? Because scared parents do crazy things. Scared people want control. And so we don't want to teach our kids that we cannot handle their mistakes. We want to create a safe place, and we want them to understand that mistakes and poor choices are a big part of life. What are you going to do? All right? So we give them some opportunities. We hope that they fail, and when they do, we feel really sad for them because we know that the consequences, the lessons that they have drawn into their life could be painful. Probably will be. Could leave a mark. But we want to feel really sad for them. We want them to know that we love them. There it is right there. Feel sad for them. We want you to know how much we love you while you are hurting. I want you to know that life is full of poor choices. Life is full of consequences that follow poor choices. Do you remember the first credit card you ever got? Mine was a Sears card. Some foolish person at Sears gave me a card. And I thought, whoo-hoo, free money. And so I maxed out that card. And the first bill that I didn't pay was that credit card payment. I was strapped, man. I barely had enough money to buy beer. After all, I was 19. Probably for 8 years, I thought the police were going to come and drag me away from work because of that Sears card. Eventually, it disappeared off my record, or whatever that is, my credit. But I remember how I handled my first credit card. Because I never had any money, I never practiced any money. Levi's a little boy. He's learned to ride his bicycle. He's about 4 years old. 4 years old. And he was riding his little bike with the training wheels on it. And I'm looking out the window, and Sherry and I are standing at the kitchen sink. I was probably watching Sherry do dishes or something. And I noticed that Levi doesn't have any shoes on while he's riding his bike. So I go jogging around the corner there, and I come out the front door just in time to see those little constant pedals. You can't stop. All of a sudden, he just goes, and it's just, you remember when you did that? Just tore the hide right off the top of his toes. Oh. So he's in a little ball there, and I go jogging over there. I pick him up. I got him. And he's just squirming around. Just, oh, oh, oh. And I go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Oh, no, buddy. Oh, geez. That looks like it hurts. Oh, my gosh. Oh, I'm holding his foot. I said, what are you going to do? And he goes, huh? I said, what are you going to do? I mean, blood is dripping down his foot. It's obviously just, hamburger time. And so I was like, what are you going to do? He goes, he's looking at his foot. Now, right now, his foot and his brain are having communication. And his foot is going, ah! And his brain's going, stop it! And his foot is saying, why don't you do something to protect me down here? I said, so what are you going to do? And he says, I need to wear my shoes when I ride my bike. 4-year-old genius. 4-year-old genius figured that out. He figured out that that's what shoes are for. Now, do you know what I would have done with Brittany? Now remember, Brittany is the experimental child number 1. Right? We never had a child before. What do you think we should do with this child? What do you think we should do with this child? Boom, boom, bop, whack. Quit your crying. This isn't working. Practice child number 1 would have got one of these. I'd have saw her clump up. I'd have bolted out there. I'd have picked her up by one arm. I'd have went, whop! Get in there and show that to your mother. And I'd have grabbed her bicycle. I told you to wear your shoes when you ride your bicycle. And I would toss her bicycle somewhere. And you're not riding that bicycle until you can learn to wear your shoes. Because I love her. Now I'm sure she's feeling the love. We still apologize to Brittany. I'm sorry. I didn't know. The consequences of our poor choices should build my relationship with my child. Instead, allowing anger to destroy that connection, that love-free, safe connection. When I feel sad for you in the middle of one of your problems and your trouble, I communicate that I care about you. But when I get angry, when I get frustrated, when I get controlling, when I get punishing in the middle of one of your problems, I seem to not care or value you or what you're going through. So you'd be smart to put up a wall to protect yourself from me. And so I teach you that when you get hurt or you're in trouble or you fail, you need to protect yourself not only from whatever's hurting you, but what's about to hurt you when I find out about it. empathy, sadness. Letting someone know that you care about them is like somebody's emotions are like this and you're like this. And your empathy is when you finally can connect and you can say, I know what you're feeling. I get it. I'm with you. It looks like it hurts like crazy. You look really scared. Instead of, you shouldn't feel like that. You should feel like me. Listen to me. Feel like me. I don't want to have to change. Do what I'm doing. Sadness, empathy, puts me with them instead of trying to get them to be like me. All right? And this whole scenario, this whole process allows the child to own, to understand that this decision has led to this consequence, and this consequence is theirs. When I said to Levi, what are you going to do? Boom! The reality that his poor choice has led to a painful consequence landed in his lap. But you know what? Once it was his problem, he could do something about it. He could fix his problem. He's powerful. What are you going to do makes him powerful. And so he says, what am I going to do? Bingo. Brilliant. Problem solved. See if you can do that. So give your child something they can handle. Hope that they fail. When they do, feel really sad for them while their mistakes' consequences. The lesson tied to that choice is doing the teaching. And then trust them. Allow them another chance. We're going to keep trying. We're going to keep giving you spelling words until you get them right, buddy. We're going to keep working with you until you nail this one. Because you will. Because you're a genius. It's also going to say, you know what? You better get this down. Because if you don't figure this out, you're going to be doing this a long time. Bedtime comes every day. Homework, they're going to be giving you homework for another good 11 years. You're going to be doing this a while. If you don't nail this, you're going to be doing this a while. Now, we have a child who does not like school. Does not like school. School does not like him. It's not even a love-hate relationship. It's just flat out, I hate school. School's trying to kill me. He's a senior now in high school. And all the angels saying, hallelujah. Because we finally get to move past this, because Levi has been dragging this school problem since second grade. Good Lord. But he's getting it. He's getting it this year. He's got himself in a situation where he has to pass every class. I have in my date book, in June, whatever that date is, I have Levi's graduation with a question mark after it. Because we don't know. He went to the vice principal this year and convinced the vice principal that the vice principal would be a genius to not cancel his inter-district transfer and allow him to attend his high school his senior year. He did a great job. I just sat and watched him. I was just so proud. Well, he convinced the principal, or vice principal, who deals with knucklehead children all day long. That's his job. He has a list of knucklehead kids that he's kicking out of his school to save his school some grief. And Levi's name's on that list. And Levi's in there. You don't know anybody like me. And I know what the problem was, and I am prepared to fix it this year. All right, buddy. That principal just engaged him and drilled him and smooshed him and played him like a deck of cards. And I just smiled. Son, dang. But he's figuring it out. He's figuring it out. The other reality message is this. The quality of my life is built upon the choices that I make in life. The determining factor about how good, bad, or ugly my life turns out is directly linked to the choices that I make. And so I want to give my child time after time after time a chance to practice something they'll do for the rest of their life, which is assignments, tasks, chores. When we try to circumvent that to save ourselves some grief, we're really just undercutting their process of learning. All right? So, here they are one more time. A little slower. In case you missed them. You want to capture them? Tell you a little story. A little boy named Taylor. I can't remember if I told you the story or not, but did I tell the story? I did? Then I won't tell the story. Well, I already told you that story. All right, well, there's this little boy named Taylor. He's 2 years old. And one day, it was our first winter in this particular house in Mount Shasta. We lived in another house, so it wasn't the first time they'd seen snow. I always told the story as it was, but now that I think about it, I was lying. We'd had snow the previous winter, but this was the first winter snow in Mount Shasta. And it was like 2.5 feet, 3 feet of snow. In one night, boom! It's beautiful. It is so amazing. And such a mess. Well, before it turned into a mess, Brittany sees it. She's all excited. She tells Levi and Taylor. And here comes Brittany, and Brittany has her boots, her bibs, her jacket, her gloves, her hat. Shoom! There she goes. Here comes Levi, his boot, his bib, his jacket, his glove, his hat. Here comes Taylor, his boots, his jacket, his gloves, his hat, and his shorts. Right? And Sharon and I are both like, oh no, oh. And we let him go. We are going to find out if there's a brain in that head. So we go over to the door, or to the window. We're looking out on the window, and Brittany and Levi are jumping around in the snow, and Taylor's on the porch. And we're watching because there's learning happening on the porch. So Taylor's standing there, and about 3 minutes into this deal, he turns around, he comes back in the door. We meet him at the door. We go, Taylor, don't you want to go back outside and play in the snow? And he says, I'll get some pants on, it's cold. 2-year-old genius. Given an opportunity to experience his life, when parents trust that there's gray matter that works, it usually proves out to be genius. Now, obviously, if he'd have jumped out in the snow and started getting frostbite or died, that would be bad. we're never going to offer a consequence that is unaffordable, that's harmful, like blood and surgery and stuff. That's please don't misunderstand that point. But most consequences aren't that severe, and they're highly effective. Now, how many of you have heard the chicken coop story? How many of you have not heard the chicken coop story? Awesome. Now, Brittany Silk she's 22 now. She was 14 at one time. Anybody have any teenagers at home? Bless you. Jesus loves you. And Brittany was 14 years old, and Brittany had a completely different worldview of the dishes being done at night than did her mother. Because Sherry has this thing where dishes done at night and dishes done in the morning are two different sets of dishes, right? Now, the boys and I still don't understand the difference, but there's a difference. And so Sherry, at shortly after dinner, after everything had settled, I hear Sherry say, "Brittany, dishes." And Brittany would say, "I will. Just a minute." A little while later, Sherry would say, "Brittany, dishes." "I'm in the bathroom." A little while later, "Brittany, dishes." "I'm doing my homework like you said." And sure enough, Brittany would not do the dishes. She'd go to bed, and the dishes would be there in the morning. And so there would be intense fellowship in the morning between Brittany and Sherry. Well, one Saturday, there was intense fellowship on the other end of the house. I could hear it from my end of the house. And Sherry came over, and Sherry wanted to have intense fellowship with me. Like, I heard that. I did not do the dishes. And somewhere in there, Brittany's friend Rebecca comes over. Now, Rebecca is 14. She's got her ponytail. And she is in there with Brittany. They're in there, da-da-da. And all of a sudden, poof, they're both gone. Now, Sherry is about to launch into space. She's so frustrated with this child. And she says, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Me. You want me to do something about that?" "Yes, I am sick and tired of this." I said, "Got it." So I ran in and I did the dishes. Right? Now, the dishes at my house, you have to understand, the dishes at my house are I'm doing the dishes. That was it. That was the dish. That took 4 minutes. If I had to scrub a pan. Like, okay. Now, Brittany and Rebecca come back to the house. Gutsy girl. And here they come. Now they both got a ponytail. And they're all dolled up. And we're in Weaverville at the time. And Brittany says, "Mom, Dad, Rebecca and her mom are going to Reading to the mall. Can I go with them?" And they said, "Brittany, sweetie, I did your dishes for you." She goes, "Oh, oh, 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 oh." And Rebecca's like, "Are you like in trouble? How do you like even know? Like nobody's yelling or anything?" Brittany's like, Because he's going to trade me chores? Because we've traded chores before. I said, probably so. I said, sweetie, would you like to do the trash shed for me or the chicken coop for me? Can I look? Of course you can. You always have a choice. Now, off she goes out into the trash shed. Now, the trash shed is this whole Trinity County cultural experience. Because you have to have this container to keep the raccoons and the cats and the dogs and the whatever out of your trash. So we got this shed. And the trash cans are in there, and you just you're done. And then eventually you can see the bags in the window on the door, and you know, I got to get a trailer, take that stuff to the dump. I could see it for a while. I was going to get to it, you know. Well, she goes out there and she opens the door, and about 10 million flies hit her in the face, hit her in the gross. Rebecca's like, what are we doing out here? And Brittany's like, poop, sick, poop, gross, I hate flies, I hate flies. So now they're headed to the chicken pen. And the chicken pen was our answer to Y2K. This is our end of the world food right here. 30 chickens. 1 month and we're dead. So she opens the key. Stupid chickens, get out of my way. She gets in there. She gets to the coop. She opens the chicken coop. She goes, oh, oh. Because I was going to get to that too. Right? And sure enough, she comes back. Chicken coop. I said, awesome. Thank you very much. She's like, whatever. I said, sweetie, would you like to do that today or tomorrow after church? I could do it tomorrow if you want to. Could I go to the mall today with Rebecca? If you want to. Oh, Dad! And she's hugging me. She is hugging me because she's going to clean the chicken pen tomorrow instead of today. Thank you, Daddy! Thank you! And off they go. Now, this is the spot right here for most, especially most Christian parents right here. You, what? You let a transgressor go free? Don't you know there must be a blood sacrifice for sin? What the heck kind of cult you running here? It is the next day. It is after church. And it is pouring down rain. Why? Because Jesus loves me. Right? And so Brittany, she knows it's raining. She knows it's tomorrow. And she's like, said, sweetie, hey, honey, do you want to wear those pretty shoes you got on there? You want to wear my rubber boots? Your boots. Do you want to wear my rain jacket or that pretty sweater you got on there? Your rain jacket. Would you like to use the pitchfork or the shovel? I'll probably need both of them. Probably so. And so off she goes. 1, 2, 3 hours later. Here she comes. She got straw hanging off her head. She's had the hood down on that rain slicker just enough to catch a nice pool of water going down her back, you know. She's dragging both the tools. She walks up to the door. She looks like homeless Hannah. I open the door. I said, "Sweetie, what do you need?" She goes, "I'm done." I said, "Thank you so much." Whatever. And off she goes to take a shower, right? Now, but sometime in the next week or so, I hear Sherry say, "Brittany, dishes." And I hear Brittany say, "Just a minute." And I said, "I got them for you, Britt." And I get up off the couch, and she comes flying through the house, and she says, "You get away from my dishes!" I was just trying to be helpful. You let me know if you ever want me to do your dishes again. The beauty of this whole thing is that there is greatness in your children. We just have to get better at calling it to the surface. And as we begin to empower, as we begin to trust, as we begin to allow them to think and problem solve, to measure the cost of their decisions. I can still see it on in my kids' eyes when I say, "Well, you have a couple choices." Like tonight at dinner, we're sitting there, and we went to Mexican food. And you know, the Mexican food place, they bring the chips and the salsa, and you eat that. And they say, "Would you like some more?" And you're like, your stomach says, "No, no more." Remember what happened the last 80 times you went to Mexican food? And your mouth says, "Yeah, more chips." And so they brought some more chips. We're like, and before the second basket comes, Taylor says, "Don't let me eat any of those chips." Every time I come to Mexican food, I can't eat my dinner. And the chips come, and he's like going. And he said, "Slap my hand if I reach in there again." So I went, he goes. And so I said, "Taylor, feel free to eat all the chips you want." And he goes, "Oh, you're just messing with me now." And when it was his responsibility, he had everything it took to keep his hand out of that bag. It was a silly example, but I just watched it in his eyes. I watched him say, "It's somebody else's responsibility to keep those chips out of my belly." No, hey, you can have all the chips you want. Go ahead. Oh, I hate it when you do that. It's a beautiful thing. Put your hand on your heart. Lord Jesus, help us to get the power of freedom, the prosperity that comes from self-control and personal responsibility. Help us to help our children live as free people in your kingdom. Help us to teach our children of the great wealth that they carry as your sons and daughters. Help them learn it first in our homes as free people. That we would have families, and they would have families who would have families who live glorifying you. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right.